And we're live. Okay. Howdy, everyone. Welcome back. Today we're going to finish up the church drama bingo chart we were looking at last week. All of this is just surface level stuff. We'll go into a lot more. I think we want to have episodes on some of these topics to go into more detail. But right now we're just sort of gauging the topics as concepts. So let's just get right into it. How do I share again? Screen. Give me a second. Boom. Okay. All right. So let's get right into it. Right. So we were here, and so it's Diamond Brothers arrested for stalking Trent Horn. Aaron, do you know who the Diamond Brothers are?
I do not know who the Diamond Brothers are.
So the Diamond Brothers are a pair of self-identified Dominican friars. Yeah, so
that, they're not actually Dominican friars.
Well, because they're not. Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they run a group called the Most Holy Family Monastery. Guess what they are? Guess what they are?
Guess what they are?
Guess what they are? Guess what they believe? We've seen a lot of it so far.
I don't. Oh, do they believe that Pope Francis is not the real Pope?
Yep. Oh, yeah, but they don't just believe Francis. They don't just believe Francis isn't the Pope. They believe every Pope since Pius XII hasn't been the Pope.
Oh, okay.
Which is, I guess, that's usually the furthest it goes for everyone. Pius XII, I think, actually.
12. Oh, okay.
If I believe, they believe John the 23rd was not a valid Pope.
All right, cool.
And John the 23rd, I believe, he called Vatican II, right? That was from him, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
And so pretty much all that. Yeah, so it's like them, like 200 people, I guess. And they have, I guess, the church is just them in their eyes, right? So, right. So, but that's not even like the half of it, right? So, pretty standard, like TLM's only valid mass. Of course, we'll get to that in a second. But a lot of them condemn natural family planning. Which that's kind of a thing. It's like it's not just them. It's kind of you'll see it in some more hardcore traditionalists. I've never met anyone like that. But basically, it goes.
By condemning NFP, you basically just mean like you're supposed to have as many kids as like you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess they make the mistake of thinking, contraceptive isn't wrong because of like the intentions behind it. It's wrong because of the action itself. I mean, we can talk about the intentions behind it, but like, it's not intrinsically evil to not want to have a kid at a given time, right? The problem with contraceptives are the what you do for it, right?
Right.
So NFP doesn't have that problem, so there's no issue with it. There's a lot more to talk about than we can get to now. But that's something you'll see, like, it might just be a fringe internet theory some people have. What else do they believe? So they reject baptism by desire as a concept. You have to be baptized, like, with the water. Not only that, but they'll say, like, that, and the doctrine of no salvation outside the church. What?
That's funny to me.
Yeah. So
okay, they also reject outside of the church, salvation outside of the church.
Yes. Which that is no. Sorry, they don't reject that. But they hold to that, but in a hyper literalist way, right? Okay. So we might say like someone who's not like Catholic could go to heaven, but they're part of the church, right? That's the mainstream belief. They say no, you have to get water baptized or you go to hell. And they'll even say like if somebody dies, a public figure, they'll say this person is in hell now, which is definitely something.
Do they believe in the wait? So do they?
Yeah, Dismas the good thief, right?
Or the Holy Innocents. I was thinking too.
I have no clue. I haven't looked that far into it.
What? That's yeah. You're right. I didn't even think about Saint Dismas. That's crazy.
We're not done yet. Randomly, they are Holocaust deniers. Let's see. You didn't react to that very much. You don't seem.
That's just ridiculous. I don't know what to say.
Let's see. Well, so since the missals were changed in Vatican II to a, in their opinion, invalid missal,
right?
There's been no validly ordained priest since Vatican II, right? Which means currently there are no valid priests, which means every single mass, including like the Latin masses nowadays, are invalid in their eyes. And then the last one is that they think like stage magicians at like magic shows are actually like harnessing the power of Satan to pull a quarter out of somebody's ear.
Somehow that's the most reasonable thing that they
believe. Yeah. And so you probably know who Trent Horn is. Trent Horn's probably the face of like apologetics nowadays. He's gotten into the more mainstream debates. I'm a big Trent Horn fan personally. So I have no issue with him at all. Now, this panel right here is they kind of consistently are asking him to debate about, sedevacantist stuff, and he hasn't done it, probably because, like, why would you?
I guess.
It's I think Peter Diamond did do a debate on Pontius Aquinas one time, and I think the general consensus, they're smart guys, so I think the consensus is, like, he won the debate. So it was a controversy. Should we keep this up, right? Because
this
it strengthens
me like Joseph Smith type like energy,
I mean, we can talk a lot about sedevacantism and American exceptionalism and Protestantism. That could be a topic. I want to do a video on sedevacantism at some point. I think it needs a less reverent rebuttal than it usually gets.
I don't know. It gives me I understand the like move, but like it just gives me like Protestant, like it's the same thing the Protestants doing. It's just like, okay, this isn't valid any longer. I don't know. It's like are you just limiting apostolic succession, or like you saying that God can't save someone who isn't baptized? God, I don't.
Yeah, they might be schizophrenic. Is a theory I've heard.
That's it's just bizarre.
All right. Enough about them. Matt Fradd interviewed by Tucker Carlson after he's assaulted for using gay accent on segment about grooming. I have no idea what this is.
That sounds like a real like thing that would be on Fox News.
I think so. I have no clue. Yeah, okay, maybe Fox News. I know Tucker is like a former Fox News anchor or something. They went out the deep end or something.
Okay,
I don't think he is. My parents said he was like reasonable and rational when like they were younger, right? When they were like probably a bit older than us. But went out the deep end afterwards. It's the modern culture war stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
A lot to go into there. I
love watching Matt Fradd. I love watching Pints at the Aquinas because Matt Fradd just says some like so out of pocket things, or like the people on his podcast will say the most out of pocket things, but it's like out of pocket in a way that's not like, oh, this guy's about to be canceled, It's like out of pocket. Right. It's like somebody needed to say that, or like it's a little bit edgy, but like it's fine, I appreciate it. They're very candid with what they say. I like it.
Yeah, Matt Fradd, obviously Catholic. Joe Rogan has all sorts of people on his podcast. It's his gimmick. He started as a chastity speaker or something, right?
That sounds right.
That sounds right. Yeah.
He still does a lot of talks on that. He does very, very good men's talks. I've listened to a few of his men's talks. And
interesting.
He's the guy for it.
Yeah. I'm guessing the accent and the grooming stuff is just typical Fox News, like, I guess, scare tactic. I don't know. That's what it reads like to me. I don't know. Let's move on. Mel Gibson funds biopic on Lefebvre. Okay. So we mentioned Lefebvre earlier. He rebelled against John Paul II and consecrated 4 bishops without his permission. Now, Mel Gibson is not a sedevacantist, I don't think. He's leaning towards it. His father is. But no, I think he talks about Pope Francis like as if he's trying to like what's the word? Like disrupt the church from inside, subvert the church from inside of it.
Okay.
Typical hardcore trad stuff. I wonder if like people in the arts have these like wild like opinions, like how theater kids are weird. I wonder if like that's because Mel Gibson and like Jim Caviezel both kind of goofy, right? So I'm wondering if like being like in that field like attracts people with like very like animated worldviews. That's my guess, at least. But
Yeah,
I
I feel
guess the
like you
joke
just
here is that that's something that could happen because Mel Gibson is a filmmaker who makes faith movies, and
yeah.
Lefebvre is the kind of guy he'd make a movie on. um, yeah. Uh, no complaints about Passion of the Christ, though. Although I will say
Good movie. Good movie.
it's really more of a moving painting than like a movie. You know, there's not much of a narrative to it. You know, it's sort of
That's a
yeah,
good description, actually. Yeah, I like that.
yeah. Okay. Taylor Marshall claims marrying an apparition told him Francis isn't Pope.
That one's. I actually got that one. That one's pretty funny.
So you know who Taylor Marshall is?
I do know who Taylor Marshall is.
Yeah, he's kind of the face of modern like radical traditionalism. I don't think he's a seed. I think he just kind of teeters on it. I think his official stance is he, as a layman, like doesn't have the authority to declare someone is an anti-pope. I mean, but I think it might be like maybe if he got a marrying apparition, it might believe it. I don't know. I feel like a marrying apparition telling you the Pope isn't the Pope might not be Mary, you know. But I know Taylor Marshall actually goes to Mater Dei, which is in Irving. So I've been to the church he goes to a few times. I haven't seen him, but I've been there. He also looks just like our friend John Hayes.
Yep, yeah, he
but
does.
older.
He
yep,
does.
yep.
I've seen him. I've seen him on like YouTube or Instagram or something, like a short of him before, and I've been like, that.
Wait a minute. He also is an Aggie, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, same class as Father Will. So
that's 2000? Actually kind of cool, man. Maybe he went to college. Maybe he knows Father Will.
He might. I think he wasn't Catholic in college. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
Zeal of a convert and all that, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I want to know, like, what I like really want to hear. We need to look this up. Like, what is the justification for Pope Francis not being a pope, or like even all the people who believe that nobody past Pope Pius XII was the pope? Like,
from what I understand, it's based on the Holy Spirit will not allow a pope to bind the church to heresy, and so they might believe the Pope attempted to bind the church to heresy. Meaning he must not actually be the Pope. I think that's not what the Church Fathers mean when they say the Holy Spirit will not allow the Pope to do that. I think what it really means. There's a lot of talk about like the importance of the visible church, right? And so, if the Pope is just some guy like on an island somewhere with like 200 followers, like, is that really a visible church? Like I mean, that seems like the gates of hell prevailing to me, but maybe there's some obscure definition they use. So that's what I would say. Most of them will say Vatican II has heresy in it. It doesn't, but probably something about accusations of religious pluralism, because Vatican II really calls for a lot of ecumenicalism. So that's what I would guess.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just like I get the doctrinal arguments. Like, if you're gonna make that argument, you believe it, so like, it's not true, but whatever. But like, how do you justify, again, like you were saying, like, right, like, even if the church is 200 people on an island with a pope, that is still the church. Like, the church may be tiny. I mean, the church obviously started with 12 dudes in a room, right?
Right. Yeah.
The point of the church isn't like it's not guaranteed to just continually increase forever, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it is, but not like in a worldly sense. But like, how do you justify, like, if you believe there are no valid ordinations anymore, like, how do you justify anything, right? Like, you can't even live your own faith if there's no valid ordinations anymore, because like, if you truly believe that, baptism and like the Eucharist, like, you can baptize people as a lay person, so like that's
right,
I guess isn't an issue. But like, if you actually still believe in the Eucharist, and like the Eucharist is the way to heaven, right? Like, how do you reconcile that with the fact that there aren't any priests anymore?
And right. There couldn't be any
valid
Eucharistic
celebrations anymore. Yeah, like that doesn't. And like, not even to talk about like all the miracles that have occurred in the past, like however long it's been since Pope, Pius XII was the Pope, and like the
Right.
canonizations and the investigations that went into those. Like what I don't know. Like there's Christianity has very clearly made strides since then, and if it's true
Right.
that the
Yeah.
church is completely gone and there's no more apostolic succession because the language of the missal changed, then like what's the
Right.
point? I don't. Yeah.
I mean, when you understand that a lot of these guys are Americans, right? So what does that have to do with it? If you look at like Americanism and American like faith in general, very very influenced by like Southern like low church Protestantism, right? Very
Yeah.
much like the Bible Belt. Very like individualistic faith, right? Very much
Right.
like everyone is the interpreter. I think the extreme case of that is Mormonism, right? Which says, well, there was a visible church, but after the apostles died, they pretty much there was the immediate great apostasy, but we have it here. So I think American culture, like American individualism, right, really plays a lot into that. So yeah, we can talk about that another episode, but
Yeah.
I have a lot to say
That's
about that.
actually it's actually a really good point. And Bishop Barron has a podcast out, and he talks about that a little bit too. Just like, like it's people's desire to like make themselves the center of things,
Yeah.
for one, but also just like people always want to reinvent the wheel, and like with the decline in the intellectual tradition that was promulgated by American Protestantism, and now that people are getting more back into the intellectual tradition, they're rediscovering like all the old heresies that got thwarted like 1700 years ago, but they're like, oh, this is new, and you're like, no, you just haven't read any of the church
that video
fathers
of this like this mega church pastor is like, guys, I'm going to show you how the Trinity works, and he has like water and ice and
right, and St. Patrick is like up in heaven, like
yeah. So that's probably that. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's put a pin in that. On the topic of canonizations, that'll come up in a second here, actually.
Okay.
But,
Okay. Good.
Okay. Scott Hahn appears on EWTN with lettuce and teeth. I have no clue what the lettuce and teeth refers to. Couldn't find anything. Scott Hahn, of course, is his official job like biblical scholar or something? I know that's a specific thing.
Yeah.
Right. I know biblical scholars have a bad rep because a lot of them are, they really confusing to listen to, right? But I could talk about that too. Did you know that pretty much all of like the skeptical scholars, like the evidence for it is based on the presupposition that it's not true? Sorry, okay. Let me go back.
What?
So, you know how there's sort of a lot of secular like New Testament scholars, and a lot of them talk about like, oh, we don't actually know who wrote the Gospels. Oh, we don't actually know when they were written, right?
Okay, yeah.
And all of that is based on a presupposition that it's not true, right? Because the reason for late dating that they cite is that it mentions the sacking of Jerusalem in year 70. And so, must have been after that. But the guy who said Jerusalem's going to be sacked or whatever was Jesus, right? So they're assuming it's the assumption that he can't predict the future. Yeah.
It's almost like the Son of God might actually have some prophetic insight if he's, speaking. And
yeah, so it's a circular argument against it, is what it is. That could be a video too, honestly. Scott Hahn, probably the leading Catholic biblical scholar, I think, nowadays, right? I know
he's a pretty big name. Yeah,
he appears with he's on Father Mike's Bible in a Year podcast, talk about the time periods. I know he's just really affiliated with Ascension Presents. I know. I've heard that the Ascension Presents like Bible, I guess, interactable Bible is like really useful. Like basically every verse has like an asterisk with a context by it, so it's really educational if you really want to look into it. I haven't done that yet.
I haven't looked into the Ascension very much. I know a lot of biblical scholars, but all from the Augustines too. When I interviewed there, they're not as well known because there's a bunch of them, and they haven't written as many books. But
yeah, all right. Boomer schism because Francis says Medjugorje demonic. So do you know what that is? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, Yes, yeah.
Okay, I mean, I've heard the name before. I just looked into what it was today. I think it's this like questionable Marian apparition, right? It's like this
Right,
Marian
yeah.
apparition that is not approved by the Vatican, but gains sort of a cult following,
Yeah.
especially among
I
people like our grandparents' age. Uh, and I'm guessing what this is referring to is he'll say it was. I guess there might have been some questionable theology at it. I don't know. I didn't look too much into
yeah.
it. But I'm guessing this is saying like he's going to say, "Oh, it was actually a demon," and then the boomers are going to schism. Uh, this one's probably one of the joke ones. I don't see this happening. I think Pope Francis has other things to do than declare Medjugorje demonic, and I don't think the like baby boomers are gonna join in schism. You know, that'd be
No,
something if
that'd be
the
really
boomers form their own church.
Yeah. For some reason I could be wrong about this, but I feel like I saw something a few days ago about that they put out a statement about that apparition that was like, I mean, it was basically like all the other apparitions, which is like for the Vatican almost never declares private revelation as like, yes, you must believe this, but like
Right. Yeah.
believe it if it helps your spirituality, like you get to make the
Yeah.
decision essentially. So
Right. Right. I know Francis said that he believes in like Fatima and stuff personally,
yeah.
but also you don't have to believe in it. Like you're
Right.
not
Yeah.
bound to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's that. Michael Lofton and Eric Ibarra fist fight when randomly meet at a Texaco in Kansas.
This was probably one of the funniest ones to me.
I think so. Did you know who they are?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. So I believe they started a YouTube channel together called Reason and Theology. And they were sort of apologists, influencers. Michael Lofton, I believe, is a former like rad trad who like went Orthodox but then came back. And he's kind of known as like a big Pope splainer nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I think I guess the joke, right, is that whenever Pope Francis says anything, Michael Lofton's like, let's look at this with nuance and clarity. You know, it's good to defend the Pope. It's good to like look at things with nuance and clarity. I think the joke is like he kind of responds in that way to like everything. So yeah, that's that. I know Eric Ibarra is. I think they kind of split up though, because Eric Ibarra isn't a big Francis fan. Yeah. So just a lot of disagreements. And I hear like some of them got kind of nasty the way they've talked to each other. I haven't looked too much into it. I wasn't too aware of who Eric Ibarra was before too recently. I'm guessing the Texaco in Kansas is just like art, like comedic arbitrarity. You know, like
probably.
It's like 4 a.m. in a Denny's park. You know, like it's that type of thing.
That's going to be us in 5 years after the great fishbowl schism.
So when shoot, what's gonna happen?
See Ryan out of Buc-ee's.
What's gonna happen, yo? Let's see. Okay, Father Ripperger exorcises Father Altman. Okay, that's a funny one.
Funny.
Yeah. So Father Ripperger, I don't think he's the most mainstream exorcist right now. He's probably the most like intense mainstream exorcist right now.
Yeah.
I know our friend JP is a big fan of him.
Oh yeah,
he said some things.
I have a few books by him too. Yeah,
I know. I've seen some of his talks with regards to like philosophy, virtue, theology. He has a lot of interesting things to say. Yeah. But with regards to like the demonic, I think he's kind of kooky sometimes. I think he said some things that seem kind of questionable. I don't want to go into all of them. But one of them was like, there are 5 demon princes of hell, and like these are their names, and this is what they all do. And I feel like I don't think that's how you're supposed to go about it. You know, like fellow exorcist Father Carlos Martins, I think, said like, no, there's no hierarchy there, right? It's a Wild West down there, right? They don't like, there's not like a consistent way things are in hell. Mm-hmm. None of this is like official, so don't like, right? But yeah, Father Ripperger definitely a positive force. I think if I were him, I'd dial it back a little bit in some ways. Now, Father Altman needs to dial it back a lot more. You know who he is?
Yeah.
Okay, so back when we were in college, like, shoot, so probably like 3 or 4 years ago, he released a video. He wasn't he wasn't explicitly rebellious then. It was about like politics and stuff, American culture wars, like it always is, right? But and it was odd because the video had a randomly like crazy high production value. Like the cameras are really good, like the B-reel is really good, like good music behind it. But he's talking about like Donald Trump, like, so it's a bit of a dissonant, right? Then after that, some clips of him surface speaking from the pulpit about how, the lynchings weren't actually that bad, I bet you didn't know about that one. Yeah, no. I was saying he was problematic before he went full seed, by the way, and I didn't get any credit for that among our friends. No, back about a year ago, he went full state of a contest, said he kept calling him Jorge Bergoglio, but he kept mispronouncing it.
Oh yeah.
He said like, "Oh, we should take a millstone and throw him into the Atlantic Ocean or something," right? But it was rambling. I think the joke is like you shouldn't assume someone's possessed, but like he seems like he's possessed. I think, but also on the topic of canonizations from earlier, he quoted like 2 or 3 saints to like condemn Pope Francis.
Right.
But these are saints that were canonized by Pope Francis. By Pope. No.
Oh,
he thinks Altman thinks Benedict was the Pope. So.
Okay.
Yeah, he thinks it's specifically Francis. So just not consistent. So the joke is Father Ripperger, I think, isn't the biggest Francis fan either, from what I've heard. But the joke is like he might accuse Father Altman of being possessed. Father Altman might be possessed. I don't know. I don't believe he's been laicized. I think his bishop told him to stand down. So I think it's still correct to call him Father Altman. But that's that. Any comments?
That's crazy. The demonic stuff is very interesting because you listen to like, obviously these guys have a window into that like most, right, like 99.9% of people have like absolutely no idea, and like,
right,
when you think about it, you're like, that could either make them way more credible or way less credible.
Time, right? Because all their info is coming from demons, right?
Right. Well, I mean, not necessarily, but like they're dealing with stuff that like greatly impacts like the human spirit in a very negative way, and like, obviously they're well guarded against it because that's kind of their job, and like they're very faithful Catholics, clearly, but they're also like, they're still constantly encountering powers that have a great negative impact on the human soul, and like it's got to be a really weird place to live in, like like being an exorcist would just be like, that's a huge burden you probably have to carry around with you, like that's I don't know, that would be one of the craziest
you've
things
heard me say on multiple occasions. Sorry, continue.
No, you're good.
You've probably heard me say on multiple occasions I would gladly sit in on an exorcism, just to see what it's like. I think right? But no. Okay, yeah. So interesting stuff. Yeah. I do an episode on exorcism on like that field too, because I have a lot to say about like public exorcists, right? So I think of some so that could be a topic. All right. The religious hippie's husband deletes her Insta. I don't really get this. I know she's like a sort of semi like trad wife influencer, I think. Is the joke like that they all place a lot of emphasis on like gender roles and stuff?
I don't know. I feel like the joke is more just like, she never posts anything about her husband really, and her husband doesn't interact on social media at all. So I feel like I don't know. To me, it was more of a joke of just like you're spending all this time on Instagram and he's like not doing anything with it. Like, what? I don't know.
I did see something about how when she announced she was engaged, she lost a good amount of followers. Probably from
Oh,
yeah. Well, we're
oh
not
man.
really her demographic, so I don't know a
The
whole lot about her
no,
about her
the amount of
content.
like cringy Catholic male I've been exposed to in the past like week or
Catholic simp
so, I
watch, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm in this Catholic group chat of like only men in the
Oh
Austin
no,
area,
oh
and
no.
it was just we they had a two-step like dance night couple weeks ago, and people were just like texting in the chat like, guys, like prayers, I'm about to like ask this girl out on a
Oh
date, like
no, oh no.
guys hyping each other up, like guys talking about how they got rejected because they like asked a girl out over text and stuff. Like it was, I don't know, like props to them, like good job, like you should be going for it, but like I don't know, just the
Baby
amount
steps,
of
I guess,
the amount
right?
of it that was like just flooded in the group chat was obscene.
And
Like it
you,
was
who's married, right?
I was like, dude, I'm so out on this.
Well, glad I skipped that
Well,
stage of life.
I didn't even put my ring on for this. Oh man.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, next. John Henry Weston calls Vatican III at LifeSite HQ. Okay, so I think the concept of Vatican III is kind of funny. Like, I think I've decided that if and when I become Pope, Vatican III is going to be what I do, just to see how people react. Right? I'm gonna do a lot of stuff just to see like how people react to it. Right? My name is going to be Pope Peter II. Right? I'm gonna say something crazy, but not like out of line with like church teaching. Yeah, no, no, no. I'm gonna
Ryan,
declare like
if you become Pope, I'm becoming a papal denier immediately. That's my first order of business.
no, no, no. I'm gonna declare the most random things like infallibly. Like no, I'll shoot.
American cheeseburgers are the best type of burger that
You
exists.
see, that wouldn't be within my realm of authority, though. Is a thing.
That's
I could
true.
not
Yeah.
declare that
It's
infallibly.
not on
I would
faith
have
and
to
morals,
say,
yeah.
shoot, like Aquinas's hierarchy of angels. I'm gonna say, actually, this is the order, and then I'll have like a whiteboard with all like all the necessary requirements for it to be ex
And get
cathedra, and I'll
struck
be
by
like,
lightning immediately.
that'd be quite the hill to die on, wouldn't it? Right? Just something totally like not relevant to our like lives, right? No, okay. Anyway, John Henry Weston runs, or he's involved in LifeSite HQ, pretty typical trad thing we're all used to by this point. That's constantly sort of similar type of thing as Taylor Marshall, kind of like teetering on, like, oh well, maybe he's a heretic, you know.
Right.
And so the joke here, John Henry Weston also runs this coalition of canceled priests, and by canceled they mean disciplined by their bishops for being problematic, right?
That's
And so the joke is he's going to take all of these priests and I guess bishops who have like been like demoted in some way, bring them off to the side. And I guess since they all have ordination, right? We're going to start our own sect of Catholicism, only for based trads, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't Vatican III though imply the validity of Vatican II?
Most of them probably accept Vatican II's validity. They just don't like what's been done with it. If I were to guess.
All right. Yeah, that's fair. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, Vatican II could be a topic too. Here's the thing about Vatican II. A lot of people have strong opinions on it, but none of these people have actually read the documents, right?
Yeah,
so its biggest supporters haven't read the documents. Its biggest like haters haven't read the documents. I haven't read the documents. I don't think you've read the documents.
I've read the only person. Some.
Really? Okay.
I've read
only
some.
one
Sophia
man in the world. Oh, really?
Somewhere here. Yeah, she bought it for fun, and then it became required.
Has she read it?
For part of? She's read a little bit too. It's a requirement for one of her counseling classes. So.
Oh.
She brought it up, and I was like, I might as well read a little bit.
The only man in the world who's read all of it Bishop Barron. Seems to be a pretty big supporter of it, right? So
yeah. Anyone who watches will learn that I'm like the biggest Bishop Barron nerd of all time.
I'm a pretty big Bishop Barron fan too. Yeah.
He talks a lot about it.
Yeah, my Bishop Barron is my dad's celebrity crush. Yeah,
that tracks.
Yeah. Okay, that's that. Volcanic eruption causes hashtag 3 days of darkness to trend on Twitter. That sounds like evangelical stuff. I mean,
that really does.
Like Pastor Jim Bob's going to talk about, I don't know what that's. Maybe it's a commentary on like hardcore American Catholics seem like evangelical Protestants sometimes. Yeah, maybe that's it.
But that gives me the thing about next year, how Orthodox Easter and Catholic Easter fall on the same Sunday, and then Passover is like the week right before, and everyone's like, "Oh, the world's gonna end,"
Yeah, God, heaven forbid something exciting happen, right? I have a 9 to 5, man. Yeah. Okay, so that's that one. Thirst-trotting e-girls nudes leaked. No clue.
This was clue. I looked at all of these and I was like, some of these I can like look up and find context. I don't know what.
I did not want to look that up either. So
what is thirst-trotting mean?
So okay, if I were to guess, I would say that the aforementioned modern trad wife movement, like on social media, right? Of like sort of women our age posting about their lives, how they just like bake bread all day and stuff, right? Yeah. Grievous misunderstanding of probably how hard it is to be a stay-at-home mom. If I were to guess, a lot of nostalgia for the 1950s, which none of us were around for, which wasn't actually the idyllic paradise, I think. Yeah. I wonder if the joke is that like it's all performative for like views or something, and so I'm guessing that's it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I have no clue.
Yeah. No comment.
Yeah, we can move on. Okay, so with all that said, what bingo do you think is going to happen in the next 5 years?
What bingo? Okay.
Bingo on this chart.
It's like traditional bingo. All right.
Yeah. So like.
I feel like the one most, what's like the singular most likely person or most likely score to happen on here, in your opinion?
02. So YouTube comment claims Francis plans to canonize Saint Pachamama.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Happened. That's probably already happened.
I feel like Scott Hahn appearing on EWTN with letters in his teeth just because it's such a low bar for like things to happen. I feel like that's got to be
right. Those aren't on one bingo, though.
Jimmy Akin will probably shave at some point in his life. So
I guess technically, I feel like the implication of that square is he shaves the whole beard. I don't think it means like he trims.
But he may shave it. I'm just going to take it at face value, Okay, I can right now generate an AI image of Father James Martin at a gay bar.
Right, yeah.
If I wanted to,
Yeah,
and John Henry Weston calls Vatican III at LifeSite HQ. I feel like that one's not likely, but like,
okay, you think the end column is going to happen?
3 out of 4
you think end
is
column's
not
going
bad.
to happen?
Yeah, I could make 3 out of 4 of those happen like in the next 10 minutes.
Right now,
let me call up Jimmy.
Make everything happen right now. Just got to make a few phone calls, I'm sure. I bet you. You've talked to like Father Mike Schmidt. You probably could get a third degree connection. Most of these people.
That's true. I have Father Mike Schmidt's phone number on my cell phone.
There we go. Yeah. Can you call him right now? No.
I'm not going to call Father Mike Schmidt's right now. I also have Father Casey Cole's phone number, so.
Right,
if we ever get a big enough following, maybe I'll call him up.
That'd be crazy.
Yep.
Or maybe we use them, or allow them to help us get a larger
use them.
Yeah, okay, so I guess that's it for today's video. Yeah, we'll talk about some more edifying topic next week, most likely.
Yeah, we'll get a non-meme version of stuff.
Yeah, something actually serious.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I'll meme about it, but Aaron will talk about it very seriously.
that's true.
Yeah,
I would like all of our listeners to know that we have an email and that Ryan is signed up for like some notifications on Reddit because he found this.
Oh no,
on
not
Reddit.
yet. No.
So it sends us periodically. It will send us Catholic meme threads from Reddit.
Oh right, those. Yeah, I'm not sub to anything. I think I've.
Okay.
This chart was on Reddit. This chart was on Reddit. So since I visited Reddit with the email site,
so funny to me.
It sends us notifications.
Email from Reddit every so often, and I'm like, I don't follow Reddit, and then I'll realize it's our.
You shouldn't. It's a bad idea. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, thank you all for listening. I don't think there's any of you right now, but hopefully once I start advertising, there will be. So yeah. All right. That's it.